Savage Media.
Music TV.
Blessed rising, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where in the world you are tapping in from. You gotta keep in mind that Keep It P podcast is a global show, and today on Those Model Citizens, we will be discussing Black Americans are getting support for reparations from other multiracial groups. Now, how can that possibly be true when survey says most of Americans are against Black people getting reparations? In fact, there was an article put out by the San Francisco Chronicle, reparations for Black people. What about other groups? Of course, this is how white supremacy works. They take both sides of the argument. The issue of reparations for Black people has been a hotly debated topic in recent years. Some people believe that Black people are owed reparations for the centuries of slavery and discrimination they have faced. So you don't even have to add in the discrimination. That's just the cherry on the top. We ain't talking to see your discrimination. See, you're saying discrimination. See, you're trying to lump people in there. That's the trick bag language. Discrimination. He told me go back to China. That's discrimination. Oh, what about sexism? That's discrimination. What about ageism? That's discrimination. We ain't talking about every little tit for tat that people got going on. We're not talking about prejudice. We're talking about systematic, institutionalized. We're talking about slavery. We're talking about free labor. We ain't talking about your cheap labor. Well, other people don't work for cheap labor. First of all, we're not talking about working. We're talking about forced slavitude. Forced. It wasn't even working conditions. It was beyond what someone in working. You can't even call that slavery work. It wasn't work. It was beyond work. It was torture. So yes, a payment for your torture chamber is necessary. It goes on to say, while others argue that reparations would be unfair to other groups who have been discriminated against. I just talked about that, you crybabies. Somebody can't say that when you're giving it to other people besides Black people. In a recent letter to the editor of the San Francisco Chronicle, one reader argued that if Black people get reparations, then other groups who have also been discriminated against should also be eligible for reparations. Once again, we're not talking about discrimination. We're talking about slavery. We're talking about torture. We're talking about kidnapping. We're talking about murder. The reader specifically mentioned the LGBTQ community, which we already know what the reader probably is, who have faced a long history of discrimination. The question of who should be eligible for reparations is a complex one. No, it's not. The people who were beat, the people who were tortured into doing it's hard for the even wording because you can't call it work. See, you going to your 9 to 5, you call that work. So what's happened in slavery is not the same. If you weren't in the killing fields, if your people weren't subjected to the killing fields, now if you're saying some other country owes you or what have you, then go see about that. If you think Cuba owes you, well, go see Cuba then. If you think Haiti owes you, well, go see Haiti then, cuz. If you think Jamaica owes you, cuz, by all means, go holler at Jamaica and them, cuz. It continues, there is no easy answer. Yes, there is. Cut the check. And any decision about reparations would need to be made carefully. Listen, y'all don't make these careful decisions about nothing when you're cutting the check for no one else. Not for Afghan with their $6.4 billion. Not with Ukraine and their $6.4 billion. Are you seeing the pattern here of the 6.4? Is it? Oh, my bad. It could be 4.6 billion. You can fact check me if you like. In fact, shout out Jay Lava, not trying to tell you what to think, trying to show you how to think. Hello, McFlizzle. He continues, taking into account the unique experiences of all the groups who have been discriminated against. Stop saying discriminated against. Where's the slavery? If you don't have slavery nowhere in your terms for getting reparations, then you, sir, don't get none. However, it is important to remember that reparations are not just about money. Yeah, you're right, but cut the check. First and foremost, they're also about justice and about acknowledging the wrongs that have been done. You will be acknowledging your wrongs when you cut the check. If Black people are owed reparations, then it is only fair that other groups who have also been discriminated against should be considered as well. No, it's not. And life's not fair. And we're not talking about your funky discrimination. Like, go back to where you came from. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about your sweet lullabies of name calling. We're not talking about that. We're talking about hangings, whippings, killings, alligator bait on the children. That's why you don't like little Becky and Tommy exposed to the conversation. That's why you don't want books like Dear Martin in the school, because they would have to be faced with all the terrible things that you did. And if it was just about discrimination, you would talk about it. But it's much, much more than that. We can't even discuss a simple book text without little Becky feeling bad. Why would she be feeling bad if it's no big deal? Hey, it's no big deal, Black people. Other people have been discriminated against, but we'll talk about that. But oh no, your history, your PTSD, your traumas. No, no, no. Couple questions. What do you think? Should Black people be the only group eligible for reparations? You know what I think. Or should other groups who have also been discriminated against be considered as well? You also know what I think. Tell me what you think in the chat. In case you have been a Johnny come lately and you're just tapping in, I will run through the main thoughts. Reparations could take many forms, including cash payments, educational opportunities, or land grants. The amount of reparations that would be awarded would need to be determined on a case by case basis. No, cut the check. I hear what you're saying with that. That may be your opinion. I say cut the check. Reparations would not be a cure all for the problems of racism and discrimination. It would be a start, but they could help to address some of the economic and social disparities that have been created by centuries of oppression, centuries of free labor. centuries of kidnapped, centuries of forced labor. The issues of reparations is a complex one. Just cut the check. Just cut the check. Cut the check and cut the check. What did we learn here today, boys and girls? Cut the check. And I'm not going to hold you. I'm just going to mold you, fold you, and scold you about being off code. Gonna leave you with 4 words. You thought it was love, peace, blessings, and maloha, but it is subscribe for the vibe, like for the spike in the algorithms, comment your vomit, and also share if you care, if you dare. Where you say? Over there, of course. Love, peace, blessings, and maloha. Gotta go ha. For sure ha. You already know ha. Big brother, light bright, supreme, almighty. Signing off.